Welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me or you're new here, I'm Joanna and I've been on a weight loss journey with Mounjaro since May 2024 and I have lost a grand total of 138 pounds. I'll pop up here as well what that is in stones and what that is in kilos, because I know I do have a few international viewers and I'm trying to be a bit more multilingual with my weigh-in metrics. Now what we're going to be doing today is I asked you guys a couple of weeks ago to ask me some questions, some things that you wanted to know, because on lots of my videos I get lots of questions from you guys and I do try to answer them all, but sometimes I miss them. So I asked just for the things that you want to know and I'm going to answer them today. Now, for anybody that's new here or hasn't seen one of my weigh-in videos, I do tend to do a weigh-in every week. Keeps me accountable. Also, I like to bring you guys along on the ride with me. But I was quite poorly last week and I didn't do a weigh-in. Thank you to everyone who reached out, by the way, with well wishes. I think I had some kind of weird COVID bug, which is still kind of hanging around a bit, but better to get out of the way before holiday. But I thought today, before we jump into the questions, I'd just do a quick weigh-in to keep you guys updated on where I am. I'm just going to pull up my Arbelief app. Arbelief is the app that I use for weighing myself once a week, and it does lots of different body composition. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to pull up here exactly what the app says so I can show you guys how I weighed in last Wednesday. So, as you can see, weighed in at 13 stone 5, which when I started doing this YouTube channel, my first weigh-in video got me under 14 stone, and I hadn't been that since I was 17. So to now be on the lower end of 13 is very, very exciting. It gets me a little bit teary thinking about it, but we don't need to cry anymore on the internet. So 13 stone 5. My BMI is 30.4, which you guys know my target is to be under 30 for my surgery consultation, so we're getting there. But my total weight this week is the one I'm really excited about. My total weight loss, which I don't really look at very often, is 9 stone 12 pounds. So I only need to lose another 2 pounds to have lost 10 stone. I think if you had asked me at the start of this, do you think you're going to be able to lose that much weight, I would have laughed you out of the room. It's nearly 10 stone. So I hope anybody watching this that is at the start of your journey and you're feeling like it's so far away and you've tried a million times, it's not. You'll get there and one day you'll be sitting here looking at that in disbelief yourself. You can do it. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. Now anyway, enough of that, enough of the tears. We need to calm down. Let's get into your questions. Alright, so I'm just going to run through these questions. This was the post that I put up a couple of weeks ago. Thank you to everybody who answered. I'm going to go through all of these today, so hopefully if you have asked a question, you'll hear yours. If you haven't, just message me and shout at me. I'll try and do another video. Okay, first question is from Joanna. So she's asking, my question for you is, if I had to switch over to Wegovy because of the price hikes on Mounjaro, do you know if it would have the same effect and would I need to start from scratch again? I only ask because you seem to do your research. So thank you very much, Joanne. I do a lot of research on Mounjaro and Ozempic and Wegovy. Now with the price hikes, I think this is quite a relevant question. I'm sure a lot of people will be worried about it. Now from what I've gathered, because I also looked into possibly switching over, what I've gathered is if you are on Mounjaro currently and you're wanting to switch, what you need to do is titrate down and come off and have a period where you are not taking any sort of weight loss injection. Once that is completely out of your system, which can be up to 30 days, you can then restart with Wegovy, and you do tend to start from the lowest dose and let it build back up in your system again. Now, does it have the same effect? So Wegovy is proven to be less effective than Mounjaro in clinical studies. The clinical study, I think, showed that Ozempic or Wegovy had a 15% body weight percentage loss, and Mounjaro or tirzepatide or Zepbound, whichever one it works for you, that had something like a 20% percentage loss. Now, on paper that might be what it says, but people have phenomenal results with both of these medications, and just for a bit of perspective, I think I'm coming up on losing 50% of my body weight. So these studies were done on people where they titrated up exactly the clinical way. They were done under very strict conditions. It's not always the case for everybody that's how much you're going to lose, or that's only how much you're going to lose. So I would say if you're concerned about the price hikes with Mounjaro, which is a definite concern for a lot of people, Wegovy is absolutely an option. There is people who commented on my video about the price hikes who have had phenomenal success with Wegovy. And it was the original medication that kicked all this off. I mean, all the celebrities must have known something we didn't back then, but they seem to work for them, so I'm sure it would work for you. So next question is from Nicola, and it is a gym related question, which I love because physical exercise and rediscovering physical exercise has been a huge part of this for me. So Nicola asks, do you follow a training plan for your gym work? As a gym noob, I'm unsure where to find a decent plan to follow that isn't hundreds of pounds or too complicated. I'm too new to come up with my own. So Nicola, I 100% feel you. When you are new to the gym or you're just getting started, it feels completely overwhelming and you're just confronted with lots of weight machines and you end up on a cardio machine just wanting to not be there really. What I did, my little tip that I will share with you, is I used ChatGPT because it acts as not only a therapist and best friend, but also a personal trainer. If you put into ChatGPT, beginner workout, ask it to do exercises that you're interested in, areas that you're interested in working in. What I asked it for was a basic training plan for beginners to build muscle in your body. And I put it in for half an hour every 3 days or something, 3 days a week. ChatGPT will spit back a plan, and what I did from there was I took that plan, I used to write down exactly how much weight I would lift so I knew I was progressing, and then over time, once I became comfortable and familiar with the exercises I was doing, I started to refine my plan. I started to remove the stuff I didn't want and add in stuff that I did want. But ChatGPT, even the free version, will give you a very good beginner's workout plan that is tailored a little bit to your needs. So that's where I would start. Alright, so the next one's from Seema, who is a fellow Glaswegian. Very happy to always see. We welcome everybody from around the world, but I must say I'm very happy when I see another Glaswegian pop up on the channel. So Seema asks a little bit of an emotional question. So she's saying that her weight problems were caused by low level childhood trauma, and she was always very sensitive. Do I think unless she deals with the underlying causes that she will never be cured as from such obesity? On Mounjaro, for the first time she feels emotions and is able to express them and not try to dull them with food. Now the second part of her question is, what about food noise? That has been the best thing about Mounjaro, that awful chatter is gone. Will it come back with maintenance too, I think? So let me answer the question in two parts. Obviously I'm not a therapist, but I have lived through very similar things to Seema. I was plagued by food addiction for the majority of my life until I discovered this medication. So I 100% relate to what she's talking about here, that it is not just a physical thing, it is very much an emotional thing. So Seema, I would say that for me, when I started taking Mounjaro, that was the opportunity to fix all of those problems from years of bad eating habits, years of emotional eating habits. Personally, I think, just like with the physical side, if we don't deal with those emotional problems, just like if we didn't deal with the muscle mass loss, emotion is another muscle that we need to make sure we're flexing and we're working and we're making sure it's in check. If we don't deal with that, the same problems are going to come up without the medication. And for a lot of people, it might be the case that they need to stay on this medication for their whole lives, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, I never wanted to feel wholly dependent on it. I wanted to get to a stage where I could use it as a tool, as and when I needed, but I didn't need it all the time. That's where I eventually want to get to. Now, for me to get to there, if I didn't deal with all the bad habits and the way I attached emotion to food, I was never going to get there. And it's taken a lot to deal with those emotions. It's a very long process where you have to dig inside yourself to understand what was going on, to understand why you felt that way, to understand for those of us that had this problem since childhood, to understand what defences you had been carrying around with you your whole life. But going through that process is so worthwhile because you shed all that emotional weight. So I think that is a very, very important step. However, it may not be the first step, right? If the house is on fire, we don't try and rebuild the house, okay? We try and put out the fire first. So that's why this medication allows us an opportunity to put out the fire, everything calms down, we get control of our eating, we get control of our health, but then that's not where the work starts. Where the work ends, that's where the work starts, to heal the emotional relationship with food. So I think, yes, you do need to deal with those emotional parts when you're ready. And then for the second part, what about the food noise? Will it come back on maintenance? So, sorry, I've got a little bit of cough still. What I think about maintenance, now I have started to taper down a little bit. I went from 7.5 to 6.8 last week, and I did notice a little bit of it coming back. Now that being said, I notice more food noise even when I'm on Mounjaro, when I don't eat protein heavy and I don't exercise. So I think long term, and this is just guessing, not from personal experience yet, but just what I think will happen for me, is when I get to maintenance, there will be food noise, definitely. I think I am learning ways to quiet that food noise without the Mounjaro, with my diet, with my exercise, with doing things that are not related to food. However, for me, if it ever gets so bad that I feel like it's getting out of control, I will go back on it. That's how I plan on using it as a tool. So I hope that answers the question. Alright, so the next question is from Suri. So hi Suri. Suri has asked a few questions. So I will start with the one that's first. So you buy the pen privately, 5 milligrams is the same price. However, you have many questions regarding the split dosing. So you've not asked a specific question about this, Suri, but I do want to try and help you because I know split dosing is something that a lot of people are interested in. I have done a whole video on split dosing, which I'll link up here if you do want to go and watch it. Now, as for the second part of your question, so you visited the GP and she mentioned that with Mounjaro, you have to exercise intensely like a bodybuilder to avoid losing muscles. You do exercise, you swim 5 days a week and are feeling great. So the question is, do I exercise intense from the beginning, and how to exercise when I'm overweight? Now, I'm not going to talk on behalf of your GP. I am not a GP, but I will tell you from my experience, I even currently do not exercise like a bodybuilder, okay? I think as women, a lot of us don't want a bodybuilder physique. We want a tone lean physique. But what I would say is that you definitely need to start doing some resistance training. So not even with weights to start with, just doing bodyweight squats, bodyweight lunges, things like that to help build your overall muscle. A really good way to track this is with a body composition scale, which I will link below the one that I use. This has been instrumental in me being able to track my muscle mass percentage. Now, when we're bigger, our body is heavier, so our muscles are having to work harder naturally. So you can use that body weight when you're first getting into exercising. It can actually be quite detrimental if you go too hard too fast when your body's not used to it. Not just physically, but emotionally it can put you off, and the last thing you want is to turn yourself off going to the gym when you're just getting back into it. It does sound like you're doing quite some exercise already though, and you're swimming, which is fantastic. But I would maybe say to do a few bodyweight exercises 2 or 3 times a week just to get yourself used to some kind of resistance training, even using something like ankle weights. I use them at the start quite a lot, so just putting them on your ankles and walking around, that will help you build muscle from within your body. I'll link those below as well. And then the last question is about the split dosing. So if you inject twice a week, slowly increasing the dose, so with different guidelines, 2.5, 5, 7.5, but finish the pen in 30 days, no longer, is that possible? Because I think the pen will finish quicker if I inject twice a week. So that is correct, Suri, depending on the amount you're taking out of that pen. If you're taking, let's say, 5 milligrams out of a 2.5 milligram pen, it will finish in 2 weeks if you're doing that per week. What I did when I started with my 2.5 milligram pen was exactly that though. I took 2.5 milligrams on a Friday and 1.75 on a Monday because I wanted to up my dose quite slowly. So yeah, if you do it quicker, the pen will finish quicker. Now, regarding the 30 days, I do believe this is a guideline. This is something I used to stick to all the time. I'm not so strict on it with myself anymore, simply because of the price increases. I don't think any of us can really afford to be, but obviously that is completely at your discretion and should be done in conjunction with your healthcare provider. Okay, question from Victoria. How long did you stay at 2.5 and 5 milligram doses? So Victoria, I have a whole video on my titration journey, but off of the top of my head, I think I stayed at 2.5 milligrams for about 6 weeks, and then I went to 3.75 milligrams for a number of weeks, and then I did stay at 5 for quite some time, I think maybe about 2 months. So in total, between 2.5, 3.75 and 5, it would have been about 6 months, I think. But like I say, I've got my video up here that will tell you exactly how long I stayed. Alright, so question from Elaine here. More a reminder, don't forget to tell us about reverse dieting and handling plateaus to help us get ahead in our quest to be slim and slender. Yes, Elaine, no problem. I have a video coming on plateaus and reverse dieting. I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. Reverse dieting is something that absolutely changed my relationship with food. I only started doing it in January, and it has been the thing that has allowed me to just love food again in a really healthy way. I will definitely be doing a video on it. It just takes a little bit longer to plan out and film. Okay, question from Rebecca here. Can we split dose Wegovy? I believe you can split dose Wegovy, and I actually have a pen. I will pop a little video of what it looks like up here. I got this to show you guys what it looks like so that you know kind of what the deal is. It's exactly the same as Mounjaro. You count the clicks with it. I'm assuming the same thing will be done as we do here, where we have like a click chart, but I don't have one to hand. However, it looks like it's the same setup. One from Jennifer here. Okay, so how do you build confidence in the gym? I love working out but feel self-conscious when those around me are very slim or big bodybuilders. So Jennifer, I totally relate to this. The only thing I can say about it is you have to build it from within yourself. I'm not going to sugarcoat it any other way. It is intimidating being in the gym, especially when, you know, you have people who look like models in there with you, or it's full of gym bros who actually tend to be really nice guys once you get to know them. But the way I used to do it with myself is I used to always tell myself, for me, I have more of a need to be in here than any of these people. Like, I'm the one who actually needs this the most because my health is the worst. And you have to take a stance in your own life and put yourself first, which for a lot of us is not easy. It's not easy to worry about what other people are looking at. But once you take that mindset and you think, I'm doing this because I need to be here and nobody is going to tell me I'm not, things just change. Your attitude towards it changes. Nothing else matters. If you are feeling really self-conscious about the gym, what I would say is start at home first. Start at home with a few dumbbells, try doing some body weight exercises, build up your confidence in your ability to do the actual exercise, and then when you go to the gym, that's just one less thing for you to worry about. So I hope that helps. Also, having a cute gym outfit, I mean, that always helps too. Alright, so next one from Jacqueline. I go to the gym around 11 AM and I don't usually eat until after 12. Should I have something before I go to the gym? PS, not losing at the moment on the drug, but I accept I probably need to build some muscle at the gym. Alright, Jacqueline, so in terms of when you have to eat at the gym, again, I am not a nutritional master or a personal trainer, but this is just what I've found out in my own research. So I also don't eat when I go to the gym. I go at 6 o'clock every morning and I don't eat until about 10, half 10, and even then it's a protein water with some collagen and some creatine. I then don't have my first proper meal until probably about 1 or 2 o'clock. So from my experience, there's not really any need to eat before you go. I personally always find that I feel very heavy if I eat before I go to the gym, and that's just not what I want. In terms of not losing, so it sounds like you are in a little bit of a plateau. You probably do need to build a little bit of muscle, but also just check your calories, that you're not getting too low with your calories. Maybe look into reverse diet, and like I say, I'll do a video on it, but that's something that's really helped me when I was going through plateaus, and ever since I did the reverse dieting and went through that process, I have lost consistently every week. Not massive, but consistent amounts every week. So definitely something to look into. Okay, next question is from Scribe. Hi Joanna, my question is, have you ever been in a position where you have had to take more physical liquid from a pen than the 0.6 ml, so the 60 clicks or 1 unit? With all of the price changes, it has made me consider the pen strength. So, Scribe, yes, I have done that. So that's exactly the situation that I described when I had my 2.5 milligram pen and I took the 2.5 milligrams out on the Friday and 1.25 milligrams out on the Monday, to make up 3.75. So I have done that in the past. It's not recommended by the provider, but when I done it, I had absolutely no problems and no side effects. Okay, next question is from Louise, and it is our first side effects question. So Louise asks, still trying to find out what's best to take for constipation when taking MJ. Really my only side effect, but no joke, lol. Like, Louise, I feel you. I was so paranoid about constipation on this. It was something I was not going to happen to me. Absolutely not from day one. Now, there are things you can take for it if you're very early in your journey and you don't feel like eating. So there is a fibre supplement called Fibre Gel, and there is Fibre One. I will link both of them below for anybody that's interested. That really helped me in the start of my journey. However, now I actually get all of my fibre intake because it is very, very hard to get fibre into your diet. You don't realise how hard it is until you start trying. But I get all of my fibre intake through raspberries and blackberries. They are fantastic for fibre, they are very low in calories, and berries have lots of antioxidants, so good for our skin as well. But I eat about 150 grams of raspberries and 150 grams of blackberries every single day with some honey on top, about 8 grams of honey, something like that. So that's my recommendation if you're struggling for fibre, is definitely raspberries and blackberries. Those will keep you right. Alright, so next question is from Sweets Harmony. Hey girl, love your channel and watch all of your videos. Thank you. You're a great inspiration to those of us that start off at higher weights. My question is, how do you stay motivated for the gym? I work and have kids, and honestly some days I'm too exhausted. So, Sweet Harmony, like, again, the gym is nobody's motivated for the gym. I totally feel you with the kids and with work and stuff. It's the last thing you want to do, okay? Every single day, well, not every single day, that is a lie. Like 10% of the time I want to go. 10% of the time at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up and out of bed and I'm ready to go and I'm feeling like myself. I love it. But the other 90% of the time, I don't want to go. It's horrible. It's especially hard at the start when you don't see any results. When you're not seeing changes in your body, because it takes a long time for doing weights for it to show up, for those things to show up. I'm only noticing it now after over a year of doing consistent exercise. The thing that changed in me when I was doing this is I watched a podcast called the Mind Pump podcast, and it's 3 huge trainers, right? These huge guys, but they're very, very good, very positive, and they said you should exercise not because you hate your body, but because you love it. Love yourself enough to exercise. Love yourself enough to show up for yourself. So, Sweet Harmony, you would show up for your kids. You'll show up for your work. So you got to start showing up for yourself. And every time I think, oh, I can't be bothered going to the gym, I'm like, no, I need to show up for myself. Because nobody else is going to show up for you. You got to show up for yourself. And changing that mindset of, oh, it's not a chore. Like, I'm doing this because I love my body and I love my health and I'm making time for myself with this. So it's not a punishment, you know. That's the best way that I've found, is to reframe it in your mind. You have to show up for yourself first. And every time you don't go, think, would I not go for my kids? Would I not go for my job? Would you not go for yourself? Okay, and the last statement is from Jenny, who says, I absolutely loved your vlogs and getting to see your journey. I've watched all of them several times. I would love to see them weekly. Jenny, I would love to do them weekly, but it's just finding the time. I really love filming the vlogs in particular. I really like sharing that part of my life with you guys, and I will try my very best to do more of them. But that concludes all of the questions, guys, so thank you so much to everybody who asked a question. I hope I've answered it in this video. If you guys have any other questions, please do just pop them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. I try to reply to everybody. And as usual, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for making this community what it is. And thank you for watching. And if you aren't already a part of the tribe, feel free to join. Love to have everybody here. And yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.